All right, so let's get right into it. This is a story about a classic car that has definitely seen better days. We're looking at a 1971 Ford Mustang, one that was literally pulled out of a field. And the big question, the one we're all asking, is this thing a hidden gem, or is it just a pile of junk? So it all kicks off with this really, really tempting price tag, 600 bucks. That's it, for a car with a name like Mustang. Now look, for $600, you know you're not getting a pristine show car, right? But the potential for an amazing project, oh yeah, it's definitely there. And, of course, it came with those 5 little words. You know the ones, the most famous and, let's be honest, often the most misleading words in the entire used car universe. Ran when parked. It's that phrase that gives you a little flicker of hope and a whole lot of skepticism. So that brings us to the big mystery, doesn't it? The one we're trying to solve today. Can this forgotten classic, a car that's been sitting out in the elements for who even knows how long, actually be brought back from the dead? Or is the dream over before it even gets started? Okay, let's dive into the mystery of this $600 Mustang. And we're going to start with the initial assessment because this car, well, it had been sitting for so long, it was literally becoming part of the landscape. Man, just look at this. It was sitting in a field, sinking right into the ground. We're talking severe structural rust, floors completely gone. I mean, weeds were literally growing up into the car. It looks absolutely hopeless. But, and this is a huge but, under all that decay, it's got a 351 Cleveland V8 and a manual transmission. Now that is a super desirable combo. It's the kind of thing that makes you think, what else could be hiding under all this rust? So we're looking for signs of life, signs of a race car. And when you peek under that hood, you start to realize this wasn't just some regular old Mustang that was left to rot. No way. This car had a secret, a high-performance past. And this right here, this just perfectly captures the whole conflict of this project. It's hope versus reality, plain and simple. On the hope side, you've got this treasure trove of vintage speed parts, a performance Hollycarb, an Edelbrock intake, a Mallory ignition system, long tube headers, a legit Hurst competition shifter. I mean, wow. But then reality hits. The engine is seized solid. It's full of rodent nests. The spark plugs are rusted. The cylinders are corroded. Even the hood has rust holes. It's this epic battle between all these amazing parts and the rusty, rotting shell they're trapped in. So now we're getting into the secrets of that seized engine. And really, at this point, everything, and I mean everything, hinges on one question. Can we get this engine to turn over? Even a little bit. If we can, there's hope. If not, well, the dream is pretty much dead in the water. So here was the game plan to try and unseize it. It was this multi-step attack, basically escalating in force and, creativity. Step 1, soak the cylinders in penetrating oil. Just let it sit and try to break up all that rust. When that didn't do the trick, out came the big guns, a huge breaker bar on the crankshaft. And when even that wasn't enough, they had to fabricate a custom puller, literally weld a tool together just to apply the maximum possible torque to that stubborn crankshaft. So they get a borescope, one of those little cameras, to take a first look inside. And yeah, it painted a pretty grim picture. You could see heavy pitting, a ton of corrosion, which is obviously bad news. But it didn't really explain why the engine was locked up so incredibly tight. The real reason, the catastrophic problem, was still hidden from view. And this brings us to the moment of truth. A catastrophic failure. This is where all that hope, all that effort, runs smack into a wall of cold, hard mechanical reality. And it's abrupt, and it is final. So with that custom tool cranking away, applying all that force, the engine moves, just a tiny bit. You get this moment of yes, but then thunk, a sudden dead stop. And this isn't the gritty feeling of rust breaking free anymore. No, this is different. Something inside is mechanically, catastrophically blocked. And that's when the realization hits. That quote says it all. This was definitely my doing. Boy, am I disappointed. The very force that was supposed to save the engine didn't free it. It broke it. The attempt to save it was the thing that destroyed it from the inside. Just a gut-wrenching moment. So what happened? The verdict is broken valves. The dream is officially 100% over. A second look with the camera revealed the ugly truth.
The valve stems had rusted solid inside their guides, stuck in the open position. So when all that force was applied to turn the engine, the pistons came up and just slammed right into those stuck open valves. And snap. 3 of them were broken. This engine is not going to run. Not without a complete, expensive teardown and rebuild. It's toast.
But it's funny how things work. When one mystery ends, another one often begins. With the engine being a total lost cause, the mission changed. It wasn't about revival anymore. It was about salvage. It became a hidden treasure trove hunt. Was there anything of value left in this rusty hulk? And that leads us to a whole new question, right? If the engine is absolute junk, was the $600 purchase a total loss? Was it all for nothing? Well, there was only one way to find out. It was time to start taking it apart and see what other secrets it was hiding.
And what they found, wow, it turns out the car was hiding an absolute goldmine of performance parts. We are talking some seriously rare and valuable vintage speed equipment here. A legendary top-loader 4-speed manual transmission, a bulletproof 9-inch rear differential, those highly sought-after closed-chamber 4V cylinder heads, that Edelbrock intake, the Hurst shifter, even a nearly brand-new performance clutch. It's just an incredible list.
Okay, get this. Just one part, the aftermarket steel bell housing, a brand new one like a Lakewood, costs about $1,000. $1,000! That one single part is worth way more than what was paid for the entire car. That's insane.
And then you add to that the rare 4V closed chamber heads. These are a huge deal for collectors. As a rebuildable pair, they're worth at least another $500. You can see how quickly the value is starting to stack up here. All right, let's get to the final verdict. We're going to look at the final numbers and see how this surprising treasure hunt really paid off in the end, turning what looked like a total failure into a really profitable find. So here it is, the final balance sheet. Let's break it down. The initial purchase price was $600, but then the car's shell, just the empty body, actually sold for $900. So right there, you're already up $300 in cash profit. But the real win? The real jackpot was keeping over $2,000 worth of amazing, high-performance parts, the transmission, the heads, all that good stuff, for future projects. Unbelievable. And you know what makes this whole story even sweeter? The first person who came to look at the car passed on it, called it junk, and walked away. It's the absolute classic case of one person's junk becoming another person's treasure. And it all came down to being willing to look past that surface-level rust and decay. So that brings us back to the original question. Was it a piece of junk or was it a diamond in the rough? Well, the answer really depends on where you're looking for value, doesn't it? The car itself, the shell, yeah, it was too far gone to be saved. But the parts it was hiding, that was the diamond. It just goes to show you, even when a car won't run, it can still take you somewhere pretty profitable.